Saddle up, partner, because tonight we're riding through 8 wild decades of small-screen frontier legends. From black and white desperados who galloped across brand new living room cathode rays to prestige cable sagas drenched in grit and moral gray, each show on this countdown forged its own trail and still kicks up dust in modern pop culture. Keep your eyes on the horizon as we reveal the 23rd greatest Western TV series ever made, starting with a masked rogue who stole hearts before color even arrived. The Cisco Kid, 1950 to 1956. Can a bandit be both feared and adored? The Cisco Kid proved it, riding straight from O. Henry's short story onto millions of newly bought television sets. Duncan Ronaldo's dashing Cisco and Leo Carrillo's mischievous Pancho became America's first bilingual TV heroes. In an era when Latino characters were rarely more than villains, Cisco's open-hearted code, justice first, bullets second, felt radical. The series was filmed in vibrant early color stock, even though most audiences watched in black and white, giving every desert vista an almost mythic shimmer. Kids practiced Cisco's flamboyant gun twirls in backyards, while adults secretly thrilled to his Robin Hood ethics, robbing crooked land barons, rescuing widows, tipping his sombrero with courtly flair. Each 30-minute installment played like a pocket-sized morality play, ending with Pancho's infectious, "Oh, Cisco, oh, Pancho," banter that left viewers grinning long after the credits. More than nostalgia, the show's legacy is representation. Cisco rode so future Latino leading men could gallop. Buckle up. Our next entry features another masked champion, but this one leaves a trail of silver behind. The Lone Ranger, 1949 to 1957. Hi-yo, silver, away. When Clayton Moore donned the black mask, weekday afternoons erupted into pure frontier myth. The Lone Ranger wasn't just children's entertainment. It was a weekly sermon on honor. Each episode delivered a moral code, stamped onto 6 shooters and underscored by Rossini's William Tell Overture. Tonto, played by Jay Silverheels, offered a rare native co-hero, and while later critics debate stereotypes, the sight of 2 cultures riding side by side struck 1950s viewers as quietly revolutionary. Production values soared, sweeping Utah vistas, breakneck horse stunts, and that signature silver bullet left as a calling card of justice. The series also pioneered merchandising. Lunchboxes, decoder rings, and cereal box masks turned living rooms into miniature mesas. In the background, post-war America wrestled with modernity. The Lone Ranger reminded families of simpler, steadfast principles. Even today, filmmakers crib from its silhouette. The righteous wanderer whose face is half hidden, but motives crystal clear. Stick around. Our next trail boss herded cattle and a young Clint Eastwood across a perilous cattle drive called Rawhide, 1959 to 1965. Before Eastwood squinted his way into spaghetti western legend, he learned the ropes, literally, on Rawhide as Ramrod Rowdy Yates. Each episode shadowed trail boss Gil Favor's cattle drive across 3,000 unforgiving miles, turning simple drover chores into existential tests. Dust storms, stampedes, and treacherous river crossings mirrored the inner battles of men chasing a paycheck and a place to belong. The show's lean scripts and propulsive Frankie Lane theme forced you upright on the sofa as crack bullwhips snapped perilously close to the camera lens. Social issues, prejudice, runaway slavery, ecological ruin, hid beneath weather-beaten dialogue, sneaking moral complexity into prime time. Directors experimented with noir lighting and near-documentary location shoots, making every cracked arroyo feel like the viewer's own blistered boot heel. When Rowdy finally stepped into leadership, we witnessed Eastwood's genesis, the quiet resolve, the volcanic glare. Rawhide bridged the chasm between 1950s white-hat innocence and 1960s anti-hero grit. So, keep those reins tight. Up ahead, a rolling wagon train will test an entire micro-civilization's soul. Wagon Train, 1957 to 1965. Imagine packing your life into a canvas-topped wooden box and pointing it toward the Pacific with nothing but hopes and a hired scout. Wagon Train transformed that mass migration into an anthology of American dreams and nightmares. John McIntyre and Ward Bond's Trailmasters navigated 19th century terrain, but each week the guest stars stole the show. Bette Davis as a defiant Southern belle, Lou Costello in a tragic dramatic turn, even a young Charles Bronson simmering with restrained menace. The series' rotating focus allowed writers to probe alcoholism, PTSD like Prairie Madness, and the price of manifest destiny, all while network censors nodded at the family-friendly backdrop. Direction borrowed cinematic techniques. Sweeping crane shots of 30 wagons cresting ridges at sunset lent a widescreen grandeur rarely seen on TV. Yet the emotional punch landed in quiet campfire confessions, where characters questioned whether the promised Eden was worth the bodies left along the trail. As the wagon wheels roll on, our next stop shifts to a California ranch run by a matriarchy burning brighter than the noonday sun. The Big Valley, 1965 to 1969. Take King Lear, give him a Winchester-wielding widow, and set the whole saga amid Gold Rush vineyards. Welcome to the Big Valley. Barbara Stanwyck's indomitable Victoria Barkley wasn't merely the West's first matriarchal tycoon. She was its moral compass, weathering land grabs, vigilante mobs, and family secrets with steel-spined empathy. Each Barkley son embodied a frontier archetype: hot-headed Nick, lawyer in boots Jared, soulful Heath, and youngest Audra, no shrinking Violet but a rodeo-blazing feminist. The show balanced barn-burning action, train robberies, dynamited dams, with gothic family melodrama, plus Stanwyck's trademark staccato delivery, turning courtroom speeches into verbal gunfights. The Big Valley arrived during second-wave feminism, and seeing a woman command ranch hands while out shooting rustlers felt quietly revolutionary. Its lush color cinematography highlighted California's rolling hills, underscoring the Barkleys' fight to tame an Eden forever on the brink of bloodshed. Ready for more high-caliber heart? Our final entry in this segment reloads father-son tenderness into the quick-draw arena. The Rifleman, 1958 to 1963. Before single-dad sitcoms softened the trope, Lucas McCain raised his boy Mark with a modified Winchester that spat 11 rounds in 3 seconds, a deadly lullaby warning evil away from North Fork. The Rifleman fused procedural gunplay with intimate paternal lessons. Each villain, whether a Civil War deserter or a syphilitic gunslinger, served to teach Mark courage, forgiveness, or self-restraint. Director Sam Peckinpah penned early episodes, infusing adult menace that pushed television's violence threshold. Yet the show's true bullet was empathy. Lucas rarely killed unless cornered, often extending hands before barrels. Connor's towering athletic frame contrasted beautifully with Johnny Crawford's eager innocence, their silhouetted walks at dusk symbolizing yesterday's sins, shepherding tomorrow's hopes. Stylistically, rapid-fire camera edits paralleled Lucas's signature slam-fire technique, creating kinetic energy that predated MTV. Ratings soared and merchandise followed. Kids nationwide constructed improvised McCain Winchesters out of broomsticks. Decades later, directors from Scorsese to Tarantino cite the series' blend of brutality and heart as formative. So keep that stock polished. Next time we ride, we'll gamble with charming conmen, quote Latin at gunpoint, and unveil the black-hatted lawmen who reshaped television forever. Maverick, 1957 to 1962. What if a Western traded bullets for bluffing? In Maverick, James Garner's Brett and Jack Kelly's Bart preferred wits to Winchesters, drifting from table to table like riverboat philosophers with busted moral compasses. Their weapon of choice was the poker face, those sly asides that turned the audience into co-conspirators long before Fleabag broke the fourth wall. Writers packed each episode with double crosses, comic reversals, and satirical jabs at TV's endless righteous gunmen. When guest star Clint Eastwood tried intimidation, Maverick simply out-cheated him. That irreverence kept 1950s viewers guessing. Would Brett kiss the girl, expose the sheriff, or abscond with the stakes? All three usually, all while humming that honey-smooth theme song. Strip away the frothy charm, and you'll find a surprisingly modern thesis. In a rigged system, the smartest survivor is the one who keeps his humanity while bending every rule. Have gun, will travel, 1957 to 1963. A chess-quoting gunslinger in black satin. Meet Paladin, incarnated by Richard Boone with baritone gravity. Operating from San Francisco's Hotel Carlton, he charged desperate clients $1,000, a fortune, then spent half the episode proving some lives were priceless. Paladin's calling card, embossed with the White Knight chess piece, became television's first viral prop. Millions mailed replicas in to CBS. Stories balanced philosophical duels with razor-tight action. One week, he tutors a Chinese railroad worker in self-defense. The next, he dismantles a lynch mob armed only with logic and a single silver bullet. Its scripts attracted literary heavyweights, including Gene Roddenberry, whose blueprint for Captain Kirk lies in Paladin's lethal compassion. Black attire signaled menace, but Boone's soulful pauses revealed the burden of an ex-soldier haunted by war. In today's prestige landscape, Paladin would headline HBO. In 1958, he was already there in spirit. The Virginian, 1962 to 1971. Television's first 90-minute weekly drama galloped into viewers' evenings like an epic film that never ended. Set on Shiloh Ranch, The Virginian elevated the cowboy ensemble piece. James Drury's unnamed foreman upheld justice with clenched-jaw stoicism, while Doug McClure's Trampas delivered roguish charm. The expanded runtime allowed cinema-level scope, sweeping crane shots of Wyoming's high plains and deeper dives into frontier ethics. Episodes tackled alcoholism, indigenous treaties, and the corrosive lure of vigilante justice, all without sacrificing show-stopping set pieces, runaway locomotives, courthouse standoffs, and flash floods rendered with feature film ambition. Guest stars read like a Hall of Fame roll call: Harrison Ford, George C. Scott, even a teenage Kurt Russell, each leaving hoofprints on Shiloh's vast acreage. Its longevity proved audiences would stay seated for thoughtful Western marathons long before binge culture. Bonanza, 1959 to 1973. Technicolor flames roared across the title map, and suddenly every living room glowed Ponderosa pine green. Bonanza wasn't merely NBC's flagship color program. It was a full-scale family empire. Patriarch Ben Cartwright and sons Adam, Hoss, and Little Joe championed different shades of masculinity: architect's intellect, gentle giant's empathy, quicksilver flirtation, while standing shoulder to shoulder against external greed. Its secret weapon was location. Lake Tahoe's cobalt waters and California redwoods felt like a national park you could visit weekly. Scripts wove social allegory into father-son banter, addressing bigotry, addiction, and even environmental stewardship, yet always circling back to the hearth. That glowing ranch house lantern, promising safety after stormy moral rides. Bonanza spent 12 seasons in Nielsen's top 10, gifting pop culture an evergreen archetype: the found family Western. Hell on Wheels, 2011 to 2016. Post-Civil War America smelled of coal smoke and vengeance, and AMC's Hell on Wheels bottled that aroma into 5 seasons of grime-streaked menace. Confederate soldier Cullen Bohannon hunted his wife's Union killers while managing the mobile cesspool that followed the Transcontinental Railroad's advance. Swede warlords, Irish labor uprisings, and Cheyenne resistance collided on muddy main streets lit by kerosene and hypocrisy. Where classic westerns romanticized westward expansion, Hell on Wheels exposed its human cost: smallpox blankets, corporate exploitation, shattered cultures. Cinematographers painted with soot-black shadows and sun-bleached skies, while Mount's slow-burn charisma forged a hero who could be savior 1 hour, executioner the next. By finale's end, the Iron Horse unites coasts, but the series leaves you pondering the untold graves beneath the tracks. Longmire, 2012 to 2017. If Hell on Wheels explored America's birth pangs, Longmire wrestles with its lingering ghosts. Sheriff Walt Longmire roams modern-day Wyoming, yet every case, Meth labs, land disputes, corporate fracking, echoes 19th century conflicts. Walt's battered hat tips to classic lawman, but he's no fossil. His closest ally is Cheyenne detective Henry Standing Bear, and their friendship interrogates decades of broken treaties and buried secrets. The series pairs panoramic mountains with noir pacing. Thunderclouds gather over glacial lakes as Walt tracks evidence on horseback, because trucks can't reach that sacred ridge. Emotional storms hit harder: grief for his murdered wife, estranged daughter, and the job's eroding code. Canceled by network suits, revived by Netflix, Longmire proved Westerns could thrive in the streaming era by blending tradition with topical urgency. And when Walt finally holsters his sidearm, it echoes like a reverent final church bell for all frontier peacekeepers, past and present. Kung Fu, 1972 to 1975. Silence, then a bamboo flute sighs. Shaolin monk Kwai Chang Caine drifts across post-Civil War America, searching for his half-brother and fleeing a price on his shaved head. Each episode braids sun-bleached deserts with saffron-tinted flashbacks to the temple. Master Po's riddles blanket gunfights like incense smoke. When bullied settlers beg for violence, Caine offers a choice: open hand or closed fist, forcing viewers to question which is braver. ABC executives doubted an Eastern philosophy Western could rope in audiences. Instead, Kung Fu ignited a Bruce Lee-era martial arts craze and inspired decades of genre fusion, from The Mandalorian to Avatar: The Last Airbender. Carradine's measured cadence, paired with composer Jim Helms's erhu strings, felt like meditation between commercial breaks. Yet its gentleness hid razor edges: lynch mobs, railroad exploitation, anti-Chinese racism, all confronted head-on. The show's final note? A wandering bell that still rings whenever a hero chooses mercy over mayhem. The Wild Wild West, 1965 to 1969. Imagine James Bond hoofing it across Monument Valley with a gadget-stuffed saddlebag. James West and Artemis Gordon rode a high-tech train, complete with knockout gas cuffs and hologram disguises, foiling steampunk villains week after week. Executive producer Michael Garrison pitched it as Bond on horseback, and CBS greenlit pure pulp delight. Spring-loaded derringers, waistcoat grappling hooks, and the unforgettable dwarf mastermind, Dr. Miguelito Loveless. Episodes mixed gothic horror, political intrigue, and slapstick. Fistfights choreographed like ballroom dance spilled over iron bridges while brass horns blared Lalo Schifrin's swaggering score. The series blurred Saturday matinee innocence with Cold War paranoia. Spies replaced rustlers, but the moral remained. Liberty demands vigilance and wit. Parents loved the old-fashioned heroics. Kids sketched Artemis's pocket inventions, dreaming of wireless future frontiers. Today's diesel punk aesthetics trace their lineage to that paneled parlor car, roaring toward sunset. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, 1993 to 1998. When Boston-trained physician Michaela Quinn stepped off the 1867 Colorado Springs stagecoach, townsfolk clutched pearls harder than gun belts. A woman doctor? Absurd. Yet Dr. Quinn turned that skepticism into 6 seasons of scalpel-sharp commentary on gender, race, and frontier science. Michaela's clinic treated everything from influenza to wounded pride, while her romance with rugged Sully balanced corset-laced tenderness with log cabin ferocity. Writers wove real events, the Sand Creek Massacre aftermath, women's suffrage rallies, into family-friendly Sunday night drama, sneaking history lessons past dessert hour. Seymour's fierce empathy met Lando's quiet activism, creating a partnership that put negotiation above notches on revolvers. Ratings soared worldwide, proving audiences craved heroines who healed rather than shot holes through problems. Decades later, every Frontier series with a complex female lead owes debt to Quinn's blood-spattered apron. Gunsmoke, 1955 to 1975. 20 seasons, 635 episodes, and a radio origin to boot. Gunsmoke is the long shadow every Western steps beneath. Marshal Matt Dillon patrolled Dodge City's muddy Main Street, a towering sentinel against greed and random cruelty. Yet the secret sauce was ensemble humanity. Doc Adams's crusty wisdom, Miss Kitty's saloon compassion, Chester and later Festus providing comic gravel. Filmed first in grainy half-hour noir, then in lush color hour-longs, the show matured with America, addressing lynching, addiction, and frontier PTSD before sociology hit textbooks. Directors borrowed from art house trends, Dutch angles, silence stretching like drawn leather. When Dylan staggered through a near-death dreamscape in The Dream, 1966, TV critics realized the genre could be existential art. Gunsmoke turned boot-high dust into a mirror, reflecting whatever era watched it. Cold War anxiety, Vietnam disillusionment, Watergate skepticism. Its final shot lingers, matte, hat low, walking away. Not victorious, but vigilant. Deadwood, 2004 to 2006. David Milch's profanity-laced opus plunged viewers into 1870s South Dakota mud, where law arrived slower than cholera. Deadwood eschewed white-hat binaries. Saloonkeeper Al Swearingen gutted rivals, yet shielded orphaned girls. Sheriff Seth Bullock preached order while throttling rage. Dialogue pirouetted between Shakespearean iambs and gutter expletives, turning business negotiations into verbal cavalry charges. Cinematographers favored lantern-lit corridors, where gold dust swirled like malignant pollen. Every civic milestone, telegraph wires, soap lotteries, U.S. annexation, felt like a bare-knuckle prize fight for the town's soul. Though HBO cut it short after 3 seasons, cult devotion forced a cathartic 2019 film, cementing Deadwood as television's grittiest meditation on capitalism's bloody umbilical cord. Its echo? Whenever prestige dramas trade dragons or mobsters for power broker soliloquies, you'll hear Swearingen's gravelly curse blessing the attempt. Yellowstone, 2018 to present. Modern ranching meets Machiavellian warfare, as patriarch John Dutton defends his millions of acres against oil tycoons, casino moguls, and a nation hungry for scenic selfies. Creator Taylor Sheridan injects Yellowstone with Shakespearean stakes. Land equals legacy, and legacy is worth spilling rivers of corporate and literal blood. Helicopter chases replace posse gallops. Branding irons mark family loyalty on living flesh. Yet, amid boardroom ambushes and machine gun ambushes, the series meditates on native sovereignty through Thomas Rainwater's measured crusade, and environmental fragility via sweeping drone shots of elk migrations under wildfire skies. Beth Dutton's whiskey flame monologues ignite social media, while Rip's hay bale tenderness fuels 21st century cowboy fantasies. Ratings shattered cable records, spawning prequels 1883 and 1923, proving the Western's pulse beats strongest when it confronts the present. On Yellowstone Ranch, the frontier never closed. It simply swapped wagon wheels for dueling profit margins. Justified, 2010 to 2015. From the opening gunshot in a Miami rooftop restaurant, Deputy U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens feels like the last straight-shooting lawman alive. He just wears an FBI badge instead of a tin star. Adapted from Elmore Leonard's laconic prose, Justified hitches the modern crime thriller to a coal-dust Kentucky Western. Timothy Oliphant's Raylan enforces justice with frontier manners, give the outlaw one fair warning, then outdraw him before the next heartbeat. Against him stands Boyd Crowder, a backwoods philosopher-terrorist whose silver-tongued sermons make sin sound like salvation. Their cat and rattlesnake rivalry echoes Wyatt and Ike, but traded across strip mine hollers and meth lab hollows. Razor-wit dialogue crackles like a campfire story told by Mark Twain on Red Bull. Each season arcs through hill politics, Hatfield versus McCoy blood feuds, and coal company greed, culminating in 6 final minutes of wordless standoff that proves mercy can be sharper than lead. Raylan holsters up. Harlan County keeps breathing, crooked, defiant, alive. Westworld, 2016 to 2022. Buffalo thunder across digital mesas, but the real stampede roars inside the android minds of Delas's Western theme park. Westworld begins as an immersive shoot-'em-up vacation for billionaires, then bends into a labyrinth where the hosts, Dolores, Maeve, Akacheta, hunt the meaning of freedom. Showrunners Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy coat classic Western iconography: saloon swing doors, rattlesnake skies, black hat gunfighters, in existential chrome. Every tumbleweed hides a quantum question about consciousness. Ramin Djawadi's Player Piano covers of Radiohead turn brothel corridors into haunted ballrooms. Practical horses share frames with photoreal CGI herds, creating a dreamscape equal parts John Ford and Philip K. Dick. When Dolores snaps out of her loop and fires on her creators, the genre's familiar power fantasy mutates into a revolution against narrative itself. By its final season, timelines fold like origami, but the original spark, "Can a programmed soul yearn?" still glows beneath the dust. Westworld reminds us that the Western is humanity's sandbox for morality plays, even when the gunslingers are made of polymer and code. Firefly, 2002. Only 14 episodes, and yet the serenity flies on, carried by fans who cosplay browncoat dusters with the devotion of cavalry veterans. Joss Whedon mashed horse operas with space opera. No aliens, just six-shooter slang, Chinese curse words, and frontier planets lit by twin suns. Captain Malcolm Reynolds is a grinning rogue cut from Han Solo cloth, but stitched with post-war trauma. His crew is a found family saloon on thrusters, Zen sniper preacher, child prodigy fugitive, genius mechanic who loves strawberries more than oxygen. Set pieces range from train heists backed by harmonica twangs to zero-G gunfights choreographed like barroom brawls. Budget constraints force genuine ingenuity. Cardboard set cattle drives feel tactile, lived in. Every story wrestles big iron myths. Manifest destiny mutates into Imperial Alliance oppression. The lone gun becomes a stubborn moral compass when maps have no edges. Cancelled faster than a duel gone wrong, Firefly still taught Hollywood two lessons. Brevity can birth legends, and the Western's dusty heart beats just as fiercely between stars. Godless, 2017. A mining accident kills nearly every man in La Belle, New Mexico, leaving the town's widows armed to the teeth against encroaching predators. Enter Roy Good, an outlaw fleeing his former mentor, Frank Griffin, a charismatic devil played by Jeff Daniels like a preacher sipping arsenic. Creator Scott Frank crafts a 6-hour limited series that sprawls like an epic, but strikes like a viper. Sweeping crane shots of sagebrush valleys cradle intimate portraits of women rebuilding society while loading rifles. Mary Agnes swaps dresses for duster coats, while hardened rancher Alice Fletcher teaches Roy to break horses and face ghosts. Dialogue is sparse. Glances crackle louder than gunfire. The climactic shootout. 40 women lined along rooftops, repeating rifles firing in smoky synchronization, reframes the Western's climactic bloodbath through feminine fury and frontier resilience. Godless is proof that the genre, long dominated by men's legends, finds fresh thunder when the voices behind the trigger shift. Lonesome Dove, 1989. When retired Texas Rangers Woodrow F. Call and Augustus McCrae decide to drive stolen Mexican cattle to Montana, just for the hell of it, television changed forever. Larry McMurtry's Pulitzer novel seemed unfilmable, until CBS gambled 4 consecutive nights and 26 million viewers saddled up for a mythic funeral march of the Old West. Director Simon Windsor paints pastoral heaven and hell in the same frame, amber grass waving like hymnal pages while water moccasins writhe beneath. Augustus jokes with whiskey-warm charm. Woodrow answers with granite silence, but each mile north peels back gristle to reveal hearts too faithful for the century barreling toward them. Duels, dust storms, and heartbreaking losses. The Blue Duck abduction, Dietz's grave, Gus's frostbitten farewell, forge a frontier Iliad where heroism equals endurance of sorrow. Cinematic production values, 1,200 head of cattle, practical river crossings, prove television could mount epics rivaling cinema. Its legacy? Every long-form Western since, from Deadwood to Yellowstone, rides in its hoofprints. when Woodrow buries Gus beneath Montana skies and vows to tell their story, he speaks for the viewers too, forever haunted, forever grateful. And there you have it, Trailblazers, 23 shows that roped our imaginations, branded our hearts, and proved the Western will never ride off for good. Keep your powder dry and your streaming queue loaded, because as long as sunsets burn red, new frontiers will call us home.